A diver glides 3 meters above a stone wall. The wall meets another wall at a perfect right angle. Beyond it, a doorway. Beyond that, a street. Then another street crossing it. A grid, a plan, a city. Not ruins, a city. Foundations intact, courtyards still squared, tombs still aligned. Everything exactly where the people who built it left it, except for one detail. It is all underwater. This city is older than the Great Pyramids of Giza. It sank before Rome existed, before the Greek alphabet was invented. And today, a child with a snorkel can swim across its rooftops in an afternoon. How does an entire city end up on the sea floor? And why, after 5,000 years, is it still there to find? 1967, southern Greece. A British geologist named Nicholas Fleming is flying low over Vatika Bay on the Peloponnese coast, doing aerial photography of the sea floor. He is not looking for anything in particular. He is mapping sediment patterns. Then he sees the lines. They are too straight. They cross at angles too clean. Geology does not draw right angles. From 300 meters up, Fleming is looking at a street grid, 3 to 4 meters underwater, in water so clear he can read it from the sky. He is a geologist, not an archaeologist. That detail matters, because no archaeologist had thought to look here. The site had been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years, a few hundred meters off a quiet Greek beach. And it took someone trained to read landforms, not artifacts, to recognize that the landform itself was artificial. A year later, a Cambridge team arrives with diving gear and surveying equipment. What they map is staggering. Streets in a coherent grid, 15 separate buildings, courtyards, rectangular tombs, public spaces, roughly 9 acres of organized urban planning, all preserved on the seabed. The site is given the name of the modern islet beside it, Pavlopetri. And here is what makes it different from every other ancient ruin you have ever seen. Pavlopetri was never reoccupied. No medieval village built on top of it. No Roman road cut through it. No farmer plowed across it. The moment it sank, it stopped. A complete Bronze Age city, frozen at the instant of its disappearance, untouched for 3,000 years. It is the oldest submerged city ever found anywhere in the world. To understand how Pavlopetri ended up underwater, you have to understand that the Mediterranean coastline you see today is not the coastline that existed when the city was built. 18,000 years ago, at the peak of the last ice age, sea levels worldwide were about 120 meters lower than they are now. Locked-up glacial ice held that water. The Greek coast extended kilometers further out. Islands were hilltops, bays were valleys. The map of the ancient world was, quite literally, a different map. Then the ice melted. Water returned to the oceans, and it did so at a rate fast enough, at times more than a meter per century, to swallow shorelines faster than human memory could track them. Pavlopetri was founded on dry ground around 3000 BC. At that point, the local sea level was several meters lower than today. The city sat on a coastal plain, with a natural harbor, perfect for a Bronze Age trading port. For roughly 2,000 years, it functioned, traded, grew. 2 forces took it down. The first was slow. Through the Bronze Age, the Mediterranean was still rising, about 2 to 3 millimeters per year. Not enough to notice in a generation, but enough to gradually drown the lower edges of any coastal settlement. Streets nearest the water became unusable, foundations soaked. The city retreated inland piece by piece. The second force was sudden. The Peloponnese sits on a network of active fault lines where the African plate grinds against the Eurasian. Researchers studying the site believe that around 1000 BC, A major earthquake caused the land beneath Pavlopetri to subside, to drop all at once by a meter or more. What the sea had been slowly claiming, the earth handed over in a single afternoon. And here is the strange gift of how it sank. The drop was fast enough that the city was not gradually abandoned and stripped. It went under with its walls still standing. But the water was shallow enough, only 3 to 4 meters, that sediment never buried it. No mud entombed the site. No deep water pressure crushed it. It simply stayed, lit by sunlight, in clear coastal water. In 2009, a team from the University of Nottingham returned with technology Fleming could not have dreamed of. Underwater robots, sonar arrays, photogrammetry. They produced the first complete 3-dimensional reconstruction of any submerged ancient city in the world. What they found inside the buildings rewrote the story. Loom weights by the hundreds, meaning industrial-scale textile production. Pottery imported from Crete and the wider Aegean, meaning a working trade network. Bronze tools, storage jars, the remains of a prosperous, busy commercial port at the heart of the Eastern Mediterranean economy. This was not a village. This was a node. In 360 BC, the Athenian philosopher Plato wrote 2 dialogues, the Timaeus and the Critias. In them, he described an advanced maritime civilization, wealthy, powerful, technologically ahead of its neighbors, that was swallowed by the sea, in his words, in a single day and night of misfortune. He called it Atlantis. For 2,400 years, the dominant interpretation was that Plato made it up, a moral allegory, a philosophical fable about hubris, pure fiction. But read what Plato actually described, stripped of the legendary scale: a prosperous trading civilization located in the Mediterranean world, built around a harbor, submerged by sudden catastrophe, lost so completely that no successor culture remembered exactly where it had been. Pavlopetri matches every one of those elements. So does another site on the other side of the Mediterranean, Thonis Heraklion, a major Egyptian port city swallowed by the Nile Delta and the sea, lost for 1,000 years until divers found it in the year 2000. Statues still standing, temples intact, ships still resting on the silted harbor floor. A third site, Plato Bay, also off the Peloponnese, was identified by a University of Geneva team in the 2010s, a Bronze Age settlement dated to around 3,200 BC, with fortification walls of a kind never previously documented in Greece. The argument is no longer whether Atlantis was real in the way Plato literally described it. The argument is what the legend actually preserves. There may be no single Atlantis, because there were hundreds of them. Coastal cities, drowned over thousands of years as post-glacial seas rose, each one remembered by its survivors, each memory passed down, blurred, merged, until the collective grief of an entire civilization-losing era compressed into a single legend about one impossible city that sank in a single night. The flood myth, a catastrophic deluge that destroys the world, is found in more than 200 separate cultures worldwide, from Mesopotamia to the Pacific Northwest, from China to the Andes. The pattern is too consistent to be coincidence. It may be inherited memory, transmitted across generations, of the real and ongoing catastrophe of the post-Ice Age sea level rise. A slow apocalypse that played out between roughly 10,000 and 5,000 BC, and that ate hundreds of human settlements as it went. For 2,400 years, the search for Atlantis assumed there was one place to find, one island, one city, one answer. The answer is stranger than that. There is no single Atlantis because there are hundreds of them. Every coastline in the world, on every inhabited continent, hides cities that vanished as the oceans rose. We have found a handful. Most of them are still down there, 3 meters deep or 30, waiting for the right geologist in the right airplane on the right clear morning. A child with a snorkel can swim over the rooftops of one of them today. The city did not disappear. We just forgot it was there.